Welcome to the Granny Square series, episode 56, and this is square number 51. It's very similar to the square we did last week. It's one of my favourites. I did think about saving this one for last because I love it so much. I think it would look really nice as a blanket just on its own. For the demo, I'm going to be using the Stonewash yarn in Moonstone with a 4mm hook. So let's get started. To begin, I'm making a double magic circle and chain 1. So for round 1, we are going to be making 12 US doubles, UK trebles. So however you like to make your starting stitch, go ahead and do that. And then we're going to make 11 more stitches, US doubles, UK trebles. So if you're making along, you can press pause and I'll see you at the end of the round. So when you've made 12 stitches, including your starting stitch, you don't want to end up with 13 stitches, we're going to tighten the circle. And then we're going to slip stitch, oops, get that tail out of the way. We're going to slip stitch across to join. Chain 1. And that's how your work should look at the end of round 1. For round 2, we are going to make 12 3-loop puff stitches. So that first one, we're going to just pull that chain up a little bit, yarn over once, go into the stitch, pull the yarn through, yarn over again, go into the stitch, pull the yarn through, and then a third time, yarn over, go into the stitch, pull the yarn through. You should have 7 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 7 loops, chain 1. And we're going to repeat, so we're going to make a puff stitch, 3 loops in each stitch, and then chain 1, just so that at the end of the round we should have 12 puff stitches and 12 chain 1 spaces. So if you're making along, you can press pause and I'll meet you at the end of the round. So at the end of the round, I've just chained 1, and now you should have 12 puff stitches. We're going to slip stitch into the top of that first puff stitch to join, and then we're going to slip stitch into the chain 1 space and chain 1, and that's how your work should look at the end of round 2. Round 3, we're going to turn our circles into squares. So we're going to start off in that chain 1 space. This is going to be our edge. We're going to make a US single, UK double, and then chain 2. To make the corner, we're going to work into the stitches rather than the chain spaces, So we're going to skip the first stitch, and then into the second stitch, we're going to make a US double, UK treble, chain 1. We're going to make another one of those stitches into the same space, into the same stitch, We're then going to make the corner, chain 2, and we're going to repeat those 2 stitches into that same puff stitch. So we're going to make 1 stitch chain 1, and then make the last stitch for that corner. There we go. So there's our corner made. It's 4 stitches into that one puff stitch in total. Yeah. So then we're going to chain 2, and we're now at the edge again. So we're going to be working into the chain 1 spaces. Skip the first one, into the second one. We make a US single, UK double, and chain 2. And we're back to the corner, so the second corner now. Working into the puff stitch, we skip the first puff stitch, into the second puff stitch, using US doubles, UK trebles. We make 1 stitch, chain 1, make another stitch into that same puff stitch, chain 2, that's our corner, and now we make 2 more stitches. So make 1 stitch, chain 1, and then make another stitch, chain 2. That's our second corner made. Now we make our next edge, so working into the chain 1 spaces again, we skip the first chain 1 space, working into the second chain 1 space, we make a US single, UK double, chain 2, and we're at the corner again. So remember, working into the stitch, skip 1, and into the next stitch we make a US double, UK treble, chain 1, make a second stitch, chain 2, into the same space, make a third stitch. Let me just grab some slack, chain 1, and then make the 4th corner stitch, chain 2, and there it is. Isn't it cute at that round 3? So skip the first chain 1 space, into the second chain 1 space, US single, UK double, chain 2, and our last corner. So skip the first puff stitch, into the second puff stitch, making a US double, UK treble, chain 1, make another stitch into that puff stitch, chain 2 for the corner, go back into that puff stitch, make another stitch, chain 1, and then making our 4th stitch to finish that corner, chain 2, and we're at the start of the round. So we're just going to slip stitch into that first stitch to join, and then slip stitch into the chain 2 space and chain 1, and that's how your work should look at the end of round 3. For round 4, we're going to be using all of the stitches will be US doubles, or if you're using UK terms, UK trebles. So into that chain 2 space that we've just slip stitched into, we're going to make our starting stitch, yeah? So 1 US double, UK treble. Then we're going to move across into the chain 1 space, and we're going to make 2 stitches. We're at the corner. Into that chain 2 space for the corner, we're going to make 2 stitches, chain 2, 2 stitches. Remember, all the stitches are US doubles, UK trebles. After you've made your corner, we're going to go into the chain 1 space, make 2 stitches. Chain 2 space, make 2 stitches. Hop across to the next chain 2 space, make 2 stitches. We're at the chain 1 space, make 2 stitches. And we're at the next chain 2 space for the next corner. So we're going to do the same thing we did in this corner. 2 stitches, chain 2, 2 stitches, and then 2 stitches into each of the chain spaces. Yeah, so if you're making along, you can press pause, and I'll see you at the end of the round. At the end of the round, I've just made 2 stitches in that chain 2 space after the corner, and I'm back to the chain 2 space where we began. So if you remember, we just made the first starting stitch, so I'm going to go in there and make the second stitch and then slip stitch across to join, and there's the last round. Isn't that pretty? I love this square. I think this is one of my favorites. It's just so cute. So I'll see you in the next episode with our last square number 52. I hope you've enjoyed watching.